We're back.
4ES Podcast number 2. I'm Sean.
I'm Nick.
And in this episode, we're going to be talking about everything from Grand Theft Auto 5's release,
NHL 14,
and all the other little good stuff that you might be expecting from us good folks at 4ES. But first, we're going to talk about the Montreal Comic Con that just went on this weekend. Nick, I hear you went too.
I loved it. I went on Friday. I want to say this now. I wish I went Saturday and Sunday. Frankly, I'm really sad I had to work on the weekend because I really enjoyed it. It's something that, 4 or 5 years ago, it was in a teeny room where, small conference room, not a lot of merchants, not a lot of stars. And ever since Stan Lee showed up about 3 years ago, it's growing every year. What did you think about it?
Well, I went on Saturday, and this was my first...
That's the biggest day.
Yeah, it's the biggest day, and this is my first Comic Con. And I gotta say, I was impressed by the scope of it. Like, I've seen the pictures from the previous years. I'm like, okay, this is a pretty scope. They had great merchandise. They had great atmosphere. Everyone dressing up. They were really into it and all that. I actually took my money and I went to go meet Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones. And me and him, we actually just started talking about his directorial debut, which is scheduled to come out hopefully maybe winter time. It's an independent movie, and as he was telling me, it's been a nightmare to develop. But he wants to get a Kickstarter campaign going around and do a tour for around the world. He doesn't say where, he said either North America or around the world. Do a Kickstarter campaign, screen his movies, and he said he just wants everyone to get really drunk and enjoy watching his movies.
That's pretty cool that you actually brought up something that wasn't the Game of Thrones. I mean, I didn't get a chance to talk to Will Wheaton last year, but I remember my own mom said to me, don't talk about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Go up to him and talk about, his other work, Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And I really liked that movie, and I didn't even realize it was him.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, he's the main character.
How about that?
But, it's funny about that Comic-Con, because for those who don't live in Montreal or don't really know about it, it's not San Diego.
Oh, no.
One day it could be. I
think one day it could be at the New York level.
It could be third best. It could literally become that thing where you go to San Diego, New York, Montreal.
Yeah. But what it needs right now to get itself off the bench and into the field, if you would forgive the sports pun, would be to get some sort of premiere there. We have the conference room. We have all these big names that are starting to come there. Aside from Game of Thrones, we had Sean Astin from Lord of the Rings was there. Manu Bennett from Arrow and Spartacus was there. Lou Ferrigno was there. George Pat was there. So if we
Lou Ferrigno is huge.
He's huge. But if we can get those people to do we can screen some footage and have them do a Q&A in the conference call. Here is the first time you see this trailer for this movie that you've heard about for 3 years, or here's the first 5 minutes of The Hobbit or something like that. I think we can really bring it from one level to a higher level, because this year we actually had the PS4, and that, in my opinion,
that was cool. They were showing. I forgot about it. I didn't get a chance. Oddly enough, people used to say Friday was the really dead day where you could just talk to everyone. It wasn't true. There was a lot more people that day, so you kind of had to go in line to kind of pay to talk. But I did see that they had the booths for the PS4, and that's probably one of the best ways to promote their console.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people have already pre-ordered. I've noticed with something like that, if you're a Sony fan or an Xbox fan, you usually stick with the console you've known for a long time. But it's
always nice to get a hands on.
That was one of the smart things. Other people that were there for Comic-Con, the Green Power Ranger, the guy who played Tommy, that poor bastard, he looks rabid. Nothing against him. Just remembering as a kid that skinny ninja guy, he could be a wrestler today. He was tinier than Lou Ferrigno, but he could have actually been one of those really wrestlers that aren't John Cena, but big enough to be there. Funny enough, with the wrestlers, those were some of the guests too. Maryse, who used to be in WWE, she's French Canadian. She was there. Mick Foley, Chris Jericho, Bret Hart. I saw him. That's really cool. That was the thing that I was really sad about. There was no wrestlers on Friday. I did get to see Jessica Nigri, and she is very attractive. She's the top cosplay girl, or one of the top.
She was actually
holy hell! Oh my god!
Some of the cosplay people are kudos for either putting that level of attention and detail into the costume, or wearing that little.
Bring her back. I didn't get enough of a chance to say anything to her. I got really shy, because she's severely attractive. It was like being starstruck, but also like going back to high school, remembering that time you want to talk to that girl you like, and it's
but
like
you just can't.
Oh my
choke.
And they had her apparently her proteges. I don't know how you have a protege in cosplay, but they have it. She did a Q&A on Friday. I had a buddy and his girlfriend, well, two friends of mine, frankly. They went to go see it, and they actually really enjoyed what they had to say. And I really hope they bring her back, because I mean, the cosplay thing, she's done New York, she does San Diego all the time. And it's
part
Montreal.
of Comic-Con.
Yeah, it's part of Comic-Con. It's not hard to hate, not hard to like, Montreal. So I hope she comes back. I think they want to come back with, if you check on what they said on Twitter, they had a lot to say about Montreal.
Yeah.
Other things there, I mean, there was tons of vendors, people from the States, people from...
locals from all over the place.
I got like 15 cards from people from Ottawa. Pretty much the next time I go to Red Lobster, we're making a day trip and we'll be going to these guys. Really cool stuff. I'm happy to say I bought some gear. I got some pins with the Reboot logo. And then I've got a giant stuffed Charmander and this really cool Captain America sweater. So, it broke the bank, but totally worth it. Next year, I'm probably going to cosplay for sure, at least one of the days.
But it's a shame, like Walking Dead was canceled for Comic-Con, which is a shame because today they announced that we're going to be doing a spin-off series for Walking Dead on AMC's channel. So we're going to have like the main Walking Dead, like season 1, season 2, season 4. We're going to follow that Rick's story. We're also going to get like a side story now that's going to run like, I don't know if it's parallel or before or after the events or like in a different city. But it would have been like, the internet's heard these rumors, now it's confirmed. It would have been nice to like get the one-on-one just like a day before.
Yeah, you got a good point there. The fact is they did cancel, and that's one of the things that Montreal, obviously last year they had Patrick Stewart and William Shatner. I got to see both of them. Really cool guys. And it was jam-packed with those people from Star Trek. And from other stuff, of course, people from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And it was too bad to see that not only was it the Walking Dead people canceled, it was Battlestar Galactica people, a couple of them canceled, and Carrie Fisher and Billy D. Williams from the original Star Wars, they also canceled. So Montreal kind of had to compensate in a sense, but not even a big enough compensation, because I
think Jason Momoa is pretty big compensation.
Well, that's true, but losing Kevin Smith was pretty bad too.
Yeah, but that was like a last minute.
Yeah, but a very last minute.
Last minute.
It's too bad because they already had so many people, but I felt like compared to last year when they had Shatner and Stewart, and then the year before when they had Stan Lee, they didn't have that groundbreaking guy.
Yeah.
And with all the X-Men that was being filmed in Montreal, it would have been nice to have Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
It would have been nice.
Or like Bryan Singer, but
or even the guy who played Iceman. I can't believe I'm forgetting the names right now.
So many.
Ashmore?
I think so. There's so many people in X-Men that it's easy to lose track of who's in it now.
And if they like Montreal so much, they could have easily come back.
But anyway, we're on to another topic. So I believe you have something to say about the NHL.
I want to talk about Comic-Con more. It was so fun. But yes, going on to something new. I'm not talking about NHL season right now. Although it is starting. It's
about to start.
It's creeping up on us. We've got our preseason going. That's a topic for later. NHL 14 just recently came out last week, which is smart on them because one thing that's coming out tomorrow, which we'll get on later, is the new Grand Theft Auto game. So NHL, they make most of their money here in Canada.
And probably like in the northeast of New York.
Yeah, like
Boston,
the northern states and Europe. They've added a lot of the European leagues, so they can also get the European fans to play. But money-wise, you're going to get most of it from Canada. It's an anniversary game. It's 20 years after NHL 94, and they added in an anniversary game mode, which you should come play.
I saw the video footage of that.
That's really
pretty
fun.
Interesting.
I really enjoyed it. It's crisp. It's clean. It's funny to play.
Because it's old, but it's like, here's old today.
Yeah, but it was fun. Funny enough, later, after playing a couple rounds of the anniversary game, I looked through the settings, and they've got the tournament modes and the run for the cup, and they have the usual, but getting it better. There's a couple of things I didn't like about the game. I'm not sure if you've seen grabbed a copy yet.
But I haven't played it.
Have you seen some of the negative reviews toward it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you chime in if it seems like. Their Legends team.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh my God! Screw you, EA. Just because 2K is out of the picture, don't crap out. It's bad enough your company was rated terribly, like one of the worst to work for.
EA was actually listed as worse than Citibank 2 years in a row. And if you're worse than the bank, then
that's really bad. And this is where don't start crapping out. It's bad enough a lot of NFL fans feel that you crapped out. Although I haven't played it yet. When I do, I'll talk about it. But for NHL, the Legends mode, I think the Legends were exactly this: Jeremy Roenick, Wayne Gretzky, and like about 2 or 3 other people. But this is supposed to be a Legend roster. The roster consisted of people like Mike Richards and people who should not be considered a legend at all, not yet anyway. You can easily make a Legends roster and take 1 or 2 of the best players from each team. Heck, have 2 Legends teams. Because there's so many Montreal Canadiens, dare I say Maple Leafs, Bruins. You know, Bruins fans will say Chara is fantastic, but anyone outside of Boston?
We'll disagree.
He can be a legend when he retires. He's not a legend now, and he shouldn't be on the right roster. Yes, Crosby and Stamkos make sense, but that's down the road. Give us guys that we haven't seen. EA would be even smarter to make a new season mode where you brought in every team and gave them the top rosters, and then you could have a league of your top teams playing. So the Canadiens with Richard, Beliveau, Patrick Roy. And then you can have,
or just basically have like a dynasty mode and have
we already have dynasty.
Well, not like a dynasty mode, but like
but I know you
can go like back in time and play like legendary seasons or something like that.
If not that, at least you get your Oilers with all the greatest Oilers from the beginning of the Oilers to today.
Plus like a greatest hits.
Yeah, but you have the 30 teams that are now, so you put in those people.
So basically you take every player that's ever existed,
yeah,
and you sort of just make like your dream team.
So that was one aspect that really annoyed the hell out of me, and great, thank you for giving me Jeremy Roenick. And
but technically though, was it a good game?
Well, that's where I get to this point. It's a game that I feel for people who haven't bought it yet, and I know like the line at EB Games is humongous, so a lot of you already have it. Give it time. One thing is, everyone loves updating the roster, and thanks to the magical thing we call the internet, you can update the rosters. The problem is NHL's not put out a recent enough roster, and I think it's only going to come out once the preseason is over. I haven't started a Canadian season. Instead, I did a fantasy draft, which was fun. But one thing the fantasy draft pointed out for me, it kind of exposes the NHL as a league that has watered down hockey. There's a lot less scoring players. And I noticed that to make a good enough team in a fantasy draft, don't put your team in the top 10. Because sure, you can get Crosby, Stamkos, or Tavares, but you're going to miss out on quality guys that you might not think of right away. So there was that, but that's kind of a complaint towards the NHL. I felt the game at the beginning was stiff. I felt like even you skating, it felt like the control.
Like it's heavy?
It felt heavy. It felt like the analog sticks weren't working. It felt slow to me. And hockey's supposed to be a fast game. It did lag. That might be my fault because I think my TV just can't handle it anymore. I don't have an HD TV in my quote-unquote man cave. You've seen it. It's that big box.
Oh, yeah, it's a box.
I think the frame rate from the TV to the game isn't handling it, so that might be one of the reasons. But I feel like for a guy who likes the little things in sports games, and I've played a lot of sports games, I feel
like it's not as polished as it could have been.
For now, it's still one of the best they've made. Once I play it a bit more, I'll come back on this topic, but I feel that there are things that they're missing. And one thing that's driving me insane is the fact that there's a lot of penalties in the NHL. And for the past couple of years in these damn games, sorry for saying damn, but it's true, there has been a lot of penalties, and it's kind of gotten on my nerves that you don't get all the power plays that you should be. And if you get one power play in 3 games and you don't score that one power play goal, it gets more annoying.
One with the controller through the TV or something like that.
So it's starting to warm up to me though. I'm starting to enjoy it. You gotta kind of tweak the settings, but as a game, as you just start, if you go into easy, and if you've played all these games before, it's too easy. If you go on pro or higher, if you don't mess around with any of the AI settings at the beginning, it can be a challenge because the hitting's so different that it knocks. Let's just say it's hard to make a nice pass it's harder to get a one-timer.
Right.
Because now that when the player's in the way of the puck, it doesn't go through them like it used to. Which is more real, but at the same time...
We're not used to it.
You're not used to it. Continuing with the video games, I believe.
I'm assuming we're going to be talking about the elephant in the room being the imminent, hours away release of Grand Theft Auto. I'm assuming that's what, yeah.
Pretty much coming out tomorrow, so for those who are trying to figure out what day it is the 16th of September. Depending when you see this, it could be the 18th.
But Grand Theft Auto 5 coming out on the 17th. If you haven't pre-ordered it, well, good luck getting a copy. I recently found out that this game costs around $250 million to make. It is the second most expensive piece of entertainment ever to have been made after Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
Wow.
It's not even out yet, and it's already made $300 million.
Million or billion?
Million. And it's projected to make $1 billion within a month.
Oh my God.
That is just...
That's a video game, ladies and gentlemen.
That is... For those who are studying economics and all that, you understand the awesomeness of that situation. But the reviews have been coming out today because the restrictions on the footage have been lifted today, the embargo. Mm-hmm. So I was checking out the reviews this morning, and yeah, it's getting pretty much good reviews. I've seen a lot of 10 on 10s, 9.5s, 9.8s. And generally everyone's agreeing that despite the fact that it's really offensive, really violent, the usual stuff for Grand Theft Auto, that it's probably the best Grand Theft Auto game to date.
Probably. I think the funniest has to be the commercial that we've all seen on TV a billion times, no matter what the show is. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure those are the least violent moments in the game.
Well, apparently there's necrophilia in this game.
That's just disgusting.
Yeah, apparently it gets a little
intense. I can't wait for my little brother to play it, frankly.
But apparently there's even a torture scene, and you are forced into torturing this poor guy, and I hear it's difficult at some points.
I'm surprised for stuff like that, because remember when the Call of Duty came out, the terrorist mode, you're able to skip that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Grand Theft Auto didn't admit we added parts where you can't skip.
Yeah, but
they don't have to care about what parents think.
No.
But I think sometimes giving that option.
But I think Grand Theft Auto, Rockstar Self takes pride in pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think...
And frankly, there's a lot of kids out there that are just stupid enough that... Well, it won't affect them anyway.
Well, hopefully it won't affect them and we won't see tortures going up and down. But that aside, the game is getting great reviews for its satirical commentary on post-depression America right now. Mm-hmm. And the influence on Hollywood bank robbing, and it's something that hasn't really been done in video games before.
Sure.
So,
Vice City, you rob a bank, but that's one mission.
Yeah, and this is the focus of the game.
That's pretty cool.
So I'm looking forward to it. I will let you know what I think in episode 3.
I can't believe how it's been promoted, though. I've seen billboards in Montreal.
Oh, man.
I've seen
it on the side of the buses.
Constantly. I've never seen a video game promote like this. You figured NHL would do that because it's a Canadian hockey
The advertising campaign for this game is ridiculous. This could have been Transformers or something of that caliber, of a triple A blockbuster.
I find at this point they didn't even need to promote it. So many people.
Even my mom is coming to me. She's like, "Oh, I saw that game you pre-ordered on the side of the Metro."
So you obviously pre-ordered it.
Oh, I pre-ordered it.
I have not, but I have a little brother, as I just mentioned before, who has pre-ordered it. Thanks, Mom. And I will be sure to be borrowing that from him later on down the line.
Of course. But we're going to shift over topics right now and talk about the other aspect of our podcast, which would be sports. And I just want to start off by talking about what I brought up in episode 1, which was the rumor that Kimi Räikkönen, current F1 driver for Lotus Racing Team, is in fact moving to Ferrari again. Surprise!
Well, not really, since we've been talking. We've talked about it. Many people have been talking. I find... It's like wrestling. Back then, when a wrestler would come back from injury after years, when Shawn Michaels came back, it was such a big deal.
Yeah, it's
today, when they come back from injury, you know about it 3 months ahead. You know that there's a build-up. Yeah, internet kind of ruins it. And because not all rumors become real, hell, most of the rumors don't become real.
But when that rumor does become real, it's kind of like, oh, well, I heard about that already.
Yeah, it's like, well, congratulations about news we already know. It's not going to be considered news anymore when it's not really new.
No, not really. So the fact that Kimi's back on Ferrari, he was world champion when he was at Ferrari. Alonso will be his teammate.
So who's first? Is it Caterpillar Eyebrows or is it Kimi?
I think Caterpillar Eyebrows. Fernando Alonso will probably still be driver one, assuming he stays with the team. I mean,
anyone who's offended by the Caterpillar Eyebrows, I'm part Italian. So but, you've never seen Caterpillar Eyebrows like I have.
Like I said, anything can happen. Like I've heard rumors that Sebastian Vettel wants to move to Ferrari now.
So, but
I don't know why he'd want to do that though. But it was a rumor.
How loyal is Ferrari to Alonso? Because imagine if Vettel says yes, would you say no to Vettel or would you kick out Alonso?
Vettel right now. Vettel's doing better right now. That's the thing.
That's true. How much money do you lose when you're this is something I don't know about racing. Maybe you could answer this. Is it contracted yearly, or is it like in other sports where you can have multi-year deals?
It can go either way. Like you can have 1 year deals, or you can have like 2, 3, 4, 5.
Obviously, you don't go too far because
of course.
But the thing is like if they sell Alonso next year, can they break the contract, or is it harder to break?
Not too sure in the exact specifics, but it seems to be more like with the if the drivers and the teams are both like mutually agreeing on something, it seems that it happens. Like if the driver says, "I don't want to be with my team anymore," usually it seems like that driver will move teams. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm assuming. These drivers usually do 1 or 2 year contracts, so they can easily trade their teams. Or if they show interest in like another team's like sees a lower end player who's rising up the ranks, they can probably bring that player in a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a story for another day.
Yeah,
I think.
for sure.
And I didn't really get a chance to see it, like changing topics right now, but over the weekend there was the boxing fight, like the Mayweather fight, and logic dictates you don't bet against Mayweather. Like you would assume he's gonna win, or like the one day, like the Anderson Silva fight, he will lose eventually. Hey, you stop texting. But
I'm texting my girlfriend.
The fight ended in a draw.
That was the Mayweather? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the Mayweather fight, and the fight ended in a draw.
Won.
No, the fight ended in a draw.
Oh, yeah. See, that's how much I pay attention to boxing. Not the conversation, just the boxing topic.
Don't ignore me like that.
Not ignoring you. I'm ignoring boxing because I just can't stand Mayweather.
But you can't stand Mayweather, but
I know he's kind of boxing was always considered the closest sport to extinction is boxing. They've always considered it that.
Well, ever since the UFC.
Yeah, especially with UFC coming out. And you know, not having the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight ever, because at this point Pacquiao's just getting too old. And that's probably when Mayweather will challenge him, when he's too old that he knows he'll win. Mm-hmm. But anyway, continue.
So the fight ended in a draw. And like I said, I have not seen the fight. I cannot comment on this, but based on what social media has told me and what friends have told me, like via text, Facebook, blah, 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 that this is not the first time this happened. This happened during the last fight as well with Pacquiao, and this is the Alvarez fight. And it's like 2 draws in a row. The refs definitely need to sort their crap out.
It seems like refereeing in any kind of sport has really crapped out. It's not so much about refereeing anymore as it is about getting FaceTime, because no news is bad news, or whatever that saying. What's the saying about the, like...
No news is bad news.
Well, there's a lot of news that's bad news. But no, I mean...
No news like bad news.
But you know what I mean? Like, just...
Wow.
It's a way that, you're promoting yourself. Any promotion's a good promotion. So for referees, they pointed that out with baseball, that baseball umpires, you know their names more now. You know who the hell's doing the call. So you get mad at them more. A lot of baseball fans will always remember the name Jim Joyce, because he screwed over Gallaraga's perfect game years back. So I'm just finding that maybe the referees are just not so much focusing on their craft of being the official and more trying to get...
like some sort of recognition.
Yeah, because 2 draws, was it the same referees for the draws?
I'm not sure if it was the same referees, but it was both Mayweather fights.
Yeah.
So like 2 draws in a row, you got to start saying like, no, there should be a clear-cut win and lose. And I'm assuming that the fact that people freaked out, that there should have been an obvious winner.
I think you said Pacquiao back there, so I just want to confirm you didn't mean Pacquiao?
Like Manny Pacquiao.
So he had a draw fight as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But if my memory serves correct, I'll do a quick search right now. But I remember that last time. Manny Pacquiao fight right now. But you were going to say something about baseball.
Yeah, well, just my favorite baseball player as a kid growing up was Vladimir Guerrero of the Montreal Expos, and he just recently announced his retirement. I wrote an article about it on Last Word on Sport, and so did Ben Kerr. He announced it, and I kind of talked about, I reminisced on Vlad. To me, he's one of the best players I've ever seen. Best bad ball hitter out there. It's so unfortunate he didn't get to hit 500 home runs. He had to make it official finally through injuries and family reasons, although he hasn't played a couple of years. But that's a hell of a player, one of those that you could look up to. He never spoke English, but the way he played did enough speaking for him. I really hope that when the Toronto Blue Jays come to Montreal, that they honor him somehow, because he's probably one of the best Expos ever. He's for sure one of the best hitters. Gary Carter could be the best. The best power hitter is for sure Vladimir Guerrero. Continuing with the baseball, and I know you're joining me on the second game. For those who don't know, which you must be sitting in a cave with your fingers in your ears and your eyes shut. Montreal, not the Montreal Expos, I wish. The Toronto Blue Jays are going to play the New York Mets on March 28th and 29th in 2014. It's 2 exhibition games, but it's to promote baseball in Montreal. Another article that I wrote about as well, kind of talking about the fact that it will be Montreal fans kind of showing Major League Baseball, we want our team back. There are a lot of us. For those who go, well, no one went to the games, there's a lot more reasoning to why the Expos failed at the end. It's almost a heartbreaking baseball history, but a lot of Montrealers are embracing that history and being angry. So this is a great way for Montreal fans to go out and promote. And for those people who don't have tickets left, there are a good amount available. Although
they're not terribly expensive either.
They're not. I did have a hard time trying to get good seats for 8 people, which is the game we're going to. But I got us decent seats, and maybe we'll catch a ball. So for those baseball fans out there, or for people who've never experienced baseball in Montreal, check it out. It's honestly worth it, and it's not going to break the bank. And frankly, on Saturday, if you go on the Saturday game, then you can go straight downtown, go grab a bite to eat, and then watch a hockey game in the bar. Exactly what we're doing.
I just want to clarify. I don't watch boxing, by the way, so I did not know what I was completely talking about. It wasn't a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. It was a Pacquiao-Bradley fight. So having
you are going to totally get people on Twitter
I'm going to get eaten out for that
the comment page going, oh, you're a jackass. You didn't even know about boxing.
Like I said, it was something that was brought to my attention, and I thought since it was brought to my attention, I'd try my best to bring it out.
We try to cater to everyone. I got a friend who's a boxer who I'd like to actually interview at some point down the road on this podcast, just because we just need to get the right time.
Speaking of boxing, I have to bring this up because I saw the trailer for it 2 or 3 days ago. There's a flick coming out in December called Grudge Match. It has Stallone in it, and it has Robert De Niro in it. And if you're like me and you know your movies, especially your sports movies, you will realize that Stallone being the lead Rocky Balboa in the last 6 Rocky movies, and De Niro being D'Amata in Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull, this movie feels very, very unoriginal.
Familiar.
Very familiar. It's almost like they're making fun of their own series without it actually being a comedy, which is weird because the trailer shows just like the gritty, like old man boxing. And
I actually just saw it because you just showed it to me. It does look like the movie.
Yeah,
even the last.
If they never said the boxers' names in the movie, like they just went on assuming. Doing the whole trailer without ever referencing them, I would have guessed Rocky 7. It is that. There's even a scene where Stallone is about to go punch the pigs in the meat factory. Like, it's so familiar, so close to home, and I feel like with it being already so close, why not just do Rocky 7?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's actually just really, it's almost like movies are running out of ideas.
Well, that's the thing. And I would understand it maybe if it was a comedy, but this trailer for the movie Grudge Match does not look like a comedy. It looks like a gritty underdog coming of age for the old man sort of thing. for the boxing movie. And I'm just like,
So that's pretty much going to be a movie that we're going to be on the fence about seeing then.
Yeah, because I saw the trailer. The trailer and I was like, okay, it does look like a good movie. Like, it looks fun. Like, it's got a good cast. Like, Alan Arkin's he's Sylvester Stallone's trainer in the movie. Kim Basinger's in it too. Shane from The Walking Dead is in it. And it's just like, it's a well-rounded cast. But way too close to home, too familiar. I'm on the fence right now. I don't know what to say
If
about it.
I had a choice between that movie and Thor, I think I would pick Thor.
Well,
frankly.
Thor's coming out way earlier.
Yeah, but still.
That's why I find that.
Which is a cheap segue into our next topic. But it's not about Thor, actually. It's actually about the S.H.I.E.L.D. television show that'll be coming out actually next week. I've yet to really
next week or the week after? Yeah, next week.
It's gotta be next week.
It's gotta be next week.
Everything's starting next week. Simpsons,
Everything.
the great Jumping the Shark television show, and How I Met Your Mother. That's another topic for a really another day. But the news, aside the fact that Coulson is supposed to be dead,
and he's alive.
You know,
Clone?
No, it's
Time Machine.
It's very Jurassic Park. In the Jurassic Park books, Ian Malcolm dies in the first book and magically is brought back for surgery, and it only happened because of popularity.
Yeah, exactly. This is fan service.
It's fan service because
Coulson was everyone just loved. They didn't like him, and then they went on.
I couldn't stand him in Iron Man, so when I saw him in Thor. And then I really couldn't stand him in Thor. I'm like, why? Yeah, and then I came to terms with liking him. Was sad about his death, but still confused about why he's still alive. No offense.
Yeah. So now he's the lead in a show called S.H.I.E.L.D. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be exact.
There are going to be some heroes in it. Nothing that will probably correlate with the movies, though.
Well, I heard that they might sneak in like a cameo here and there, but it's not the focal point of the show. It's more about characters like in the Avengers, Maria Hill and Nick Fury.
God, I hate Maria Hill.
It's more about like the humans and the lesser small folk in this world of the super.
Yeah.
So like Josh Whedon, who did Avengers, is executive producing, and Buffy. He's executive producing the show, and he's directing episode 1. So.
And Firefly for all you nerds out there.
Knocking on wood that turns out to be good. Firefly's awesome, by the way.
A lot of things he touched turns to gold, even though sometimes Fox is stupid and puts it off the air.
Like Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly.
So, hoping for the best. I mean, if Marvel's on a streak right now, here's to them pulling off another wonder. Mm-hmm. And speaking of
one-hit wonders.
One-hit wonders?
Oh. I heard wonder. I was trying to make a bad pun.
I was actually going to mention something about
This
comics.
is where we need sound effects and you put the cricket noise in. No. You put the cricket noise because, like, I'm pretty sure everyone decided to turn off the podcast.
Oh, yeah. I remember now.